Our next presenter, everybody should know Randy by now. Randy wants to come on up and talk about Launchout.com. It's his latest project. Thank you very much.
All right, so you guys probably know me as the Arcadia printing guy, or maybe just as a 1 million cups organizer. But I blame you guys for what you're about to see, because I started coming to 1 million cups with the idea that I would probably sell some printing to some of you, and I have. But the energy and the infectiousness of this community made me start thinking, what else could I do? There's other stuff that I could do, and that's where what has resulted in Launchout.com. The process started, you might remember about a year or so ago, mentioning that I was running a Kickstarter. Speaking of Kickstarter, this is Kickstarter Success Day. We successfully funded that about a year ago, and that was fun to build a website that could become a community for people looking to launch their dreams. So it's not just an entrepreneur community, it's not just to lose weight, we took a theme of the different goals that people will say when they're saying, I have a 5-year goal. Those are financial, their health and wellness, their relationships, they're starting a business or changing their career, and those kind of things. So all of that is incorporated inside this idea. Well, about the same time, we did, that project was launched under the title Next Work Network. So the confusion through the process of the Kickstarter, though, was people thinking that it was a site to find a job. So the Next Work part confused people. So we had, at the same time, here in Tulsa, this was last summer, we did a conference called Launchout. The Launchout conference was hosted by our resident MC, Dave Berlin. It was about 60 people. 30 of those people that attended presented at some time during the event. The event was geared towards the people. It wasn't bringing in keynotes, and it was the people, after they registered to attend, were able to then apply to present. We did that conference again this last summer in Nashville, and almost tripled in size. We sold 150 tickets to that event in Nashville. The idea changed a little bit between the first year and the second year, whereas the first year, because half the people were presenting, really the conference was more about the presenters, and the audience was there to support them, whereas this last year it became more of a launching experience. So since the Next Work brand was confusing, we decided to take both of those concepts and put them together, and that became Launchout.com, which is a website designed to have not only the live event functions, but also a forum where discussions can take place, and a blogging section where you can get educational posts sent to you through a subscription for everything from health and wellness tips to financial tips to things that are more along the lines of this community, which would be, if we scroll down here a little bit, 3 of the blogs that are currently posted there are to template or not to template, which is based on the advantages and disadvantages of using a website template to build your website around. Platform schmatform, which is just saying you don't have to have a ton of social media followers or those kind of things to be successful. All those things can help, but there's more to it than just building a platform. And then the value of a great editor is just talking about how, if you're interested in writing a book, that can be a success. So the So over here we have the discussion forums and then a business directory, and a lot of this is still being developed. So the business directory is very small at this point. We're kind of beta testing it. And then when you go over to live events, this is the portion that's kind of supporting all of it right now. So it's still hosted it was already hosted at launchoutconference.com, so we're blending the two, but for now, this site is featured here. So in order to continue growth and scaling this, one of the keys we think to the event is keeping each event small so that people feel comfortable to come and launch if they've never spoken in public before. If they're trying to launch a new idea where they're not in an auditorium full of people where it's a little smaller. So instead of continuing the growth by going from 60 to 150, we are capping these events at 200 sold tickets and having 3 events this year. So the events this year will be in Atlanta, St. Louis, and then Southern California. And those are, again, it's a situation where you register to attend, and then as a registered attendee, you can apply to present your concept either in a workshop or from the main stage. So I think that is an overview of where we came from and how we got to where we are. If you guys are ready, we'll have to take some questions.
Do we have any
See if anybody
questions
has
from anybody
any.
in the audience? Over here, hold on.
So, Randy, differentiate this versus 1 million cups that are being held around some of these areas, and how do you market this into these other areas?
Okay. Well, the conference, just like Jared said, the conference has been built around social media. I'm involved in some social media groups that are, one's called Dreamers and Builders, the one's called 30 Days of Hustle, different groups like this that are all about just getting your life moving again. So the last 2 years we've been able to grow very organically through just selling out our ticket base through this social media network. We haven't had to do any traditional advertising or traditional marketing. This year we're stretching ourselves where we're probably going to need to take some of those steps, create some relationships with groups like this in each of these towns. The difference between it and 1 Million Cups is that it's an opportunity. Everybody that gets up and presents is not necessarily presenting a business pitch like they would here. They may get up and share about how in the last 12 months they've lost 40 pounds and have remade their life, and now somebody that is kind of very maybe discouraged has recreated their life and now likes themselves again. Or it may be somebody that's that has more of a financial background and wants to just talk about tips for people that are launching. So instead of it being everybody pitching their business, an entrepreneur kind of Shark Tank feel, it's more of a whole life kind of an angle. Does that answer the question? Okay.
So I've been to one Launchout, and I'm going to the Southern California one next year. The other thing that I don't think you've mentioned was, what other opportunities do presenters have there, or even the people that don't want to present, to get their idea or out, like the marketplace and things like that? What other ways do they have to, express what they're trying to accomplish?
Well, there's a couple of ways. One thing that we've found, we have a marketplace that's available. So if somebody's doesn't have a business or they're wanting to just, maybe they've written a book, but they're not interested in public speaking, so they can have a table there where they can sell their book, they can sell, artwork, if they're an artist. They can maybe, if they're a consultant and just want to set up and present their consulting options. So there is a marketplace of tables kind of in the exhibit hall. The other area that we found that is not something you can really put a control over, but has been happening, is just these off-site and the networks that are being built by people from across the country. I mean, we have people in Nashville from like 15 different states. So these people are now going home with a person they know in Florida that can help them answer a QuickBook question. They have this network that they're able to build that stretches across the country of people that they can reach out to, that they can get those answers from. So does that?
So it sounds like you have people that want to solve problems and people that are presenting to solve specific problems. Is that your two target audiences, or who is the target audience?
Okay. Yeah. The first year, the target was just giving people a stage to present whatever was on whatever their thing was. So we had somebody present on their pitch on bullying because they were working with a program to prevent bullying in the schools. We had, Dave really presented his discharge to in charge, and he presented his goals for his organization. Because that year 30 of the 60 people were on stage, that worked out just fine. The people that were there were mainly supporting them. They weren't necessarily getting a cohesive conference experience. It was kind of, what that guy has to say, they didn't all fit together. So this last year, we requested that the presentations be more, it could still have to do with what, but it be, how do we take what you're up to and apply that to the 120 people in the audience that are not going to be on stage at any point during this. So it became more of a cohesive, all the presenters were talking about how to launch something, whether that was how to launch in a business, or how they, telling their story, or those kind of things. So it's kind of transformed, so the focus going forward will be more about the audience, and we'll kind of, for people that want to present there, will have to have an angle of how their story or their business can support the 120, 150 people in the audience. Does that make sense?
Hey Randy, so sorry, point of clarification, I guess. I see a lot of similarities and overlap between this and TED, but also see aspects of inspiration from like a Tony Robbins type of thing. So do you have a centralized, where TED was, ideas worth sharing? Yours is like an inspiration that moves you type of thing that you're really focused on, like where it's succinct.
Yeah, it's, the focus of, let's see, go back to this, if you take the entire movement, the dreams happen here is kind of the core of it. And that to me has two different meanings. Some people, like when I started coming to these events, I really wasn't dreaming. I wasn't really moving forward. I was just looking for a place to make some sales contacts. But I started dreaming, and dreams started happening. So there's two different, the dreams happen here, like get started dreaming again, but then also by using the resources that are a part of both the conference and the website, is that we can make those dreams move forward and make those dreams happen. So that's kind of the theme behind it. The TEDx kind of tie-in, we're not quite to the place of having complete the programs in place to allow the regionals to be completely run locally, but I do have a team of people in each of these cities that have found the venue, are working with, on lunch schedules, are working with local publicity and working with like local groups, entrepreneur groups, local colleges to get the word out. So it is moving towards the model where it could be, where somebody could just say, you know, hey, I want to host an event in my city, and you know, we would have the plan in place for them to be able to just put this event into their city as well. So. It helps for the video if we have the microphones.
So as this scales and gets larger, what's the filter or vetting process for speakers? Because I mean, I'm sure you would hate if somebody got up with a platform of expert, but said complete rubbish
Yeah.
to a group of people that are desperate for help.
Yeah, that is I mean, that is a risk, and we'll have something they'll have to continue to develop. We do have, you know, through the application process, we do ask for, you know, an outline and a lot of details up front to make sure that they've already put in the work. Obviously, from the time they're selected to the event, we try to give them about 6 weeks to perfect those ideas and make them into a presentation. But that application process does require them to have already created a skeleton of an idea that can let us know there's value to this presentation. We've been lucky so far, I guess, in that all the presentations have, you know, for a lot of people's, it being their first presentation, we've had quality presenters. We haven't got any people that came up there and just, you know, choked. But by keeping it this 200 person kind of small thing, I think even if that happened, we're trying to create a community at each of these events that would be supportive and caring to that person and not, you know, throw tomatoes at them. That makes sense. So that's kind of the idea there. But yeah, there, you know, it is going to get more complicated as you go forward. Just like with the TEDx scenario, you know, those things, you know, they go through a process that's very detailed after the speaker's been chosen, where they practice those presentations in front of somebody. So if we could get to a point where there's a team in each city that could do that, I'd love to have kind of more of a staged, you know, maybe they send in a video of their presentation, you know, 3 weeks out, and so suggestions can be made and kind of move towards that. But at this point, just being able to review the applications has kind of set up. And like last year, hardly anybody presented or requested to do a workshop, but there was just some of them that made sense as a workshop. So we took them from requesting 12 minutes on the main stage and said, can you create a 35-minute workshop out of this? You know, and we made it into a breakout option during that time. So.
Randy, so what I'm hearing is what you're selling is inspiration and community to people who want to see some kind of significant transformation in their life. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
Do you have a story or two of people that, like, success stories?
Sure. A lot of the people at the first event, the 60-person event, kind of knew each other from online already, but there were a couple people that came into that community that really they found out about it online, but they hadn't connected with the others, so they were coming into pretty much a room of strangers. One of them is out of Oklahoma City. Her name's Kelsey Humphreys, and she presented at the original Launchout here in Tulsa. Since then, she's created a video show called The Pursuit.tv. She's interviewed, and this was, I mean, she just had her baby. She hadn't finished her book yet. Nothing. She was just kind of moving in this direction. So since then, her book's come out. It's called a Solopreneur. She's interviewed Seth Godin, the Property Brothers, Michael Hyatt. She's traveling from coast to coast. I think her interview that comes out this week is Charlene Johnson, which I'm not familiar with her, but she seems to be a big deal in the
She's sponsored by Success Magazine.
Success Magazine, there you go. And I think Kelsey's also written some for Entrepreneur or Success. So she's definitely one that kind of, this gave her a community to kind of push her forward. Another one on a completely different angle is I kind of referred to, but somebody that came to the first Launchout, didn't present, and at the time I would have said would never even have an interest in presenting. She was just there to support and to encourage. And she came back, she applied the next year and got up and blew everybody away. But she's the one that talked about how the year before she really didn't like herself and she lost a bunch of weight. She got a makeover and just kind of recreated her life. She didn't even change her job. She still works at the same job, but everything else about her changed, and she likes who she is now. And when she got up and spoke, I mean, people were just blown away. She ended it, but singing a cappella for like 30 seconds, and people were just in awe. So those are two different sides of the story, but two very successful stories in my opinion. So.
Yeah, Randy, we saw your list of events, the 3 events that you have scheduled for next year. During the months that you're not holding events, are there other times where people can present? Are there monthly webinars or any other forum for presenters during those months?
Right now, the website we're creating here is the in-between, which is these forums and the directory where you can go to if you have a question and you don't have a contact for somebody. So that's what's being created. We don't have any plans. A webinar series would be a great, taking some of these people and plugging them in throughout would be a great idea. The in-between time right now is just more of an online experience and not a live experience. We do have Facebook communities and things where there's engagement throughout the time as well, but between those times it's more about this. And by 2017, we may be having one of these events every 2 months. So there may not even be much in between time if this year goes as planned and we continue on our pace. So.
Hey Randy, so business line question. Is this a nonprofit, for-profit? And can you talk about the teams? Are you guys volunteers?
Okay.
Is there a team structure you guys have?
Yeah, it is a for-profit LLC that I'm running. My wife and I own the brand. And so far we haven't taken any money out of the first 2 years, but we haven't lost money either of those years too. We just put them back into deposits on venues for the next year and those kind of things. This year with the 3 events, hopefully we'll be able to change that and actually take a kind of an administration fee out of that for our efforts. In each city, I have one contact person that's my lead. What I found from working with a team in Nashville last year was if I was having a 5-person team all communicating with me was fine, but if I was going to have 3 of these, each with a 5-person or 7, how many people they decide to be on their core team, I couldn't have them all communicating directly with me. So I have a team lead in each of those cities that is coordinating that, and that is there's a token payment for them to coordinate that. Everybody else on the team is volunteer and is doing this just because they've seen the impact that these events have had on their each of the team leads has been to either one or both of the conferences in the past, so they have the experience. They know what we're trying to create, the environment we're trying to create, and that this isn't just putting on another conference, but it's kind of almost an unconference in that it's more about kind of building the community than it is necessarily about who's on stage at that time. So.
Seems like you have a really good business idea here. My question would be, how do you plan on implementing branding and other marketing into your project as a whole? And then also, do you plan on offering other services? Because I guess my main question would be, how are you making money off this? Do you plan on making money off of it? Scaling and things of that nature?
Yeah. Well, right now, the only profit center is are the conferences, and so yes, we hopefully this year, if we are able. Right now, we're going to open up 200 tickets to in each city, but we're running our models, and we will make money if we get at least 150 to each venue. Right. So that's kind of our range there. The website itself does have some advertising opportunities. We have a banner ad here. There's another one down towards the bottom, which looks really small on this. Oh, it looks good up there. So, but the thing about those is right now they've been pre-sold through the Kickstarter. So part of the spiffs of the Kickstarter program or Indiegogo program, where it's that if you bought in at a certain level, then you got advertising for free. So that first year or so there's not going to be any income from that. But hopefully, if we're able to grow this community, grow the users, by the time we roll out of that first year where all the ads have been comped, then we'll be ready to move forward. But even at that point, if I can just make enough off of those ads to pay for the hosting of the website, that would be great, because I really think that the profit, the money is all going to come out of live events as we're able to continue to develop them. Maybe a webinar kind of idea, and getting this live content out is going to be where the revenue stream is going to come from.
Okay, we have one last question. What can the 1 Million Cups community do for you, Randy?
All right, well, this is a lot easier to ask for when you're online and you're not dealing with people face to face, but I need to know you guys have kind of cheated because I've been able to share personally the concept, but what I need to know is if this makes sense to outsiders. If, it's this first 2 years, I was able to promote it through these Facebook groups and stuff, and people got the idea because they were all kind of in the same world. But in order to continue moving forward, when you guys go to this site, is the verbiage confusing? Do you not know where to, is the navigation confusing? Some of those kind of issues would help me in knowing, how you're perceiving it. If there's questions when you go to the website, or if you go to the conference site and you're like, this is, I understand because I heard from you what this is talking about, but if I hadn't heard you speak, this wouldn't make any sense. Some of that outsider content would be great. The other part of is to, up at the top, we've got a couple different places where you can subscribe. That way, once a week I send out a kind of a newsletter that talks about some of the changes, things that have been posted in the last week. It'd be great to have you subscribe to that so that I can let you know when changes happen, when the ticket prices are announced, some of that kind of thing. So, thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
All right, we'll see you guys all January 6th. That's Wednesday. Have a wonderful holiday. And thank you to all of our sponsors, Vika Coffee for the coffee, Andy for the video services, Randy at Arcadia, and Foolish Things for the coffee supplies. Have a great holiday. See you next time.